Hello! Welcome back to my channel. I am Deanna Christine and I have been chronicling the last couple videos about my journey in regards to my braces that I'll be getting at the end of May 2019. So I'm super excited. So in order to go ahead and get on the right track to make room for braces, I had to have 4 teeth pulled. So I had to have 2 on this side, which I had done in April, and then just this past Friday, I had 2 more on this side done. So that was definitely something to have done. It wasn't entirely pleasant, though it wasn't as bad as I thought. So the first time when I went in April, ended up one of the teeth broke in my gum, so the dentist had to end up going in kind of digging to get the rest of the pieces out. So that was fairly painful, and I felt a lot of sharp pains for about a week afterwards. I'd feel some pains here and there. They weren't constant, but it was just sometimes when I would talk, I would feel like just a twinge of a pain, and it was just something that took a bit for it to heal. I mean, it's still even in the process of healing right now, a month later. So it's definitely takes its time because it is, holes that are essentially being made in your mouth, and your mouth is essentially one of the probably grossest places in the body because we just have so much that goes on in there. We're eating in there. It's so easy to get infections and things like that in your mouth. So I've just had to be very careful in regards to cleaning and doing saltwater rinses and things like that. So then this Friday, I just had these 2 teeth pulled on this side of my mouth. So on my left side, I had them on the right first, and now I've had them on the left. And that I was nervous for because of how long it took. It took an hour to get both of these teeth out on this side the first time, especially because there was such a struggle with the tooth breaking and him having to go back in and get all the pieces. And then they had to sew my mouth as well to give me stitches. So I wasn't really looking forward to that, and so there was some anxiety and nerves before getting these 2 teeth pulled. But really, that one went a lot quicker. It was maybe 30 minutes in total that I was in the chair, which was awesome. And he did end up putting stitches in both areas that he had the pullings, but I mean, it was not as bad as the first time. The first time I could feel the pullings of the stitches as they were going through, which did not feel good. But this time on this side, there wasn't that pulling feeling. It was so frozen. I mean, I think he extra froze me because I could feel it a little bit when he first started, so he gave me another needle. Of course, that hurt just on the roof of my mouth. The roof of the mouth is the most painful part to get the needle to freeze your gums. Because I did have to have that anesthesia in there anesthetic to get it frozen. But it wasn't as bad as the first time. The first time I felt like it took forever for him to get the needle in, and it just was a lot of pain. Whereas this time, I think I was anticipating it so much that it really wasn't at all as bad as I was building it up to be in my mind. So it actually went a lot better. I did feel when he first put the probably needle through to do the stitches, I did feel that sharp pain on the roof of my mouth, but it was so quick. It was maybe a second that I felt that sharp poke, and then the rest of it I didn't feel anything because it was all in the frozen gum. So that I'm grateful for, that I didn't feel as much. And of course this time I did get to keep the teeth again because I really wanted to compare, because if you've watched any of my other videos, I had a baby tooth on this side on the bottom. I was surprised that this was the baby tooth because this tooth always looked smaller to me in my mouth. This one would sit smaller, whereas this one was a bigger tooth visually above my gums. So I always thought this was the actual permanent adult tooth and this was the baby tooth. So I was very surprised to see that this one was the baby tooth, and then I really wanted to compare the difference. So if you're grossed out by things like looking at teeth, for one, I'm not really sure why you're watching a video on having teeth being pulled, but also I'm going to show you the teeth. So if you're squeamish about that, go ahead and look away, because I've got my teeth right here. I've got all 4 of my teeth right there. You can see them. There they are. So this one here, I'm gonna go ahead and put them in my little container that I've got here. So this one here is the baby tooth. So that is the baby tooth. That's pretty funky that it's just that little baby tooth in comparison to, I'm gonna make sure I find the right one that I always compared it to. So I just have this one here. This is the one that I thought was the baby tooth just because it's so much smaller on the top. But look at that root. I mean, that is incredible how long those are. I'm sorry if it's disgusting. I washed it off as best I could for you guys, so there's not blood or anything as much on it. But that is quite the root. I mean, that would stay in my mouth for as long as I would have let it. Like, if I didn't get this done and get my braces started, I would have never really needed that pulled, because look at that. That was in there. That was in there good. So there are the 2 new teeth that I got pulled. So there's this one, which was the top one, and this littler one here. Littler. More little one, even though it's, yeah, it looks little on the top wise, but it is not little. I think it's actually the longest one out of all 4 on the bottom. Like, that is a significant root in comparison to this root here. And then I've also got this root, which is the one that broke. You can kind of see how crisp and clean it is. I'm gonna put you guys down for a second just to show you a little more clearly. But this one is here in comparison to the other top tooth. So these 2 are the 2 top teeth. You can see clearly where it broke off, and that's what they had to dig around in my mouth to get, was essentially this end piece, because it broke clean off. It looks like someone took scissors and snipped it. And then you can clearly see here is my baby tooth, which is like, look at how huge it looks this way. I mean, it's got the old school filling in it. Look, it's much bigger to me visually, circumference wise, but yet actual root wise, it is not as, I apologize for my nails. They haven't been done in a couple weeks. I've been busy. I've been focusing on getting my teeth done instead. That's where my focus has been. But like, there is that one. You can clearly see that this is a baby tooth. I'm throwing my teeth around. This is a baby tooth in comparison to the adult tooth. I mean, that is incredible to me. Like, this one, yeah, even though it still gave the dentist a bit of a fight to get that out. I mean, that's still a pretty decent root compared to some baby teeth, but it is not a permanent root like that one. Like, that is pretty incredible to me. So I'm just gonna show you again. If you're squeamish, you can definitely look away. I'm gonna show you a close-up of my teeth. So I got my front teeth here. This is the first side I got done, was over on this side. And then this is the side I just recently got done. It's very awkward to try to get the tops to see, so I hope you can see it. But yes, that is essentially what's been happening with my journey right now. I've just gotten my last 2 teeth that need to be pulled, so I've gotten all 4 teeth. This time too, I stuck so much more to a softer diet. Last time, my diet, I didn't adjust it as much as I should have. Last time, I essentially, I knew that it was sore, but I still had all of these teeth to chew on, so I was sending a lot of the food over here on this side of the mouth and just chewing on this side. And I don't think I was being as cautious enough, because really I think that contributed to some of the pain as well, was because I would just be eating not like super hard stuff, though, you know, I did have a smoothie with things in it that were a little crunchy, that didn't blend as well, because it was, you know, I put some nuts in the smoothie to try to, you know, give me some of my healthy fats, and it just didn't blend as well, so there was little bits there. And then like the last time I got my teeth pulled, it was Easter weekend, so there was Easter dinner to be had, and I tried to attempt to eat some of that, and that was just so much food to try to consume, and it just made it ache and was not pleasant. So this time I took that into consideration a lot more, because now I had holes on both sides. I mean, I can either eat with my front teeth, or I have to shove it in the way back to eat it with the molars, and that's just like awkward when you have holes. So I was taking a lot smaller of bites when I was eating. I was cutting things up a lot smaller if I was eating anything that was a little more solid. But for the first day, I had soup, complete just plain broth soup. The first time I had soup that had like chunks in it, like, you know, cream of mushroom soup, which had little pieces of mushroom to chew, or like little potato pieces to chew and things like that. So it just wasn't as pleasant. This time I stayed away from that. I only really ate what would dissolve easily, because I just cannot eat. I have to chew it like this, or like I said, I started shoving it all the way back here, but you're still got to be really careful, because you don't want any infections. You don't want that dry socket happening. You don't want to knock out one of your clots, one of the blood clots that forms, and have that bone and jaw exposed. I mean, hopefully that wouldn't happen as much, because I got stitched up, and hopefully most dentists kind of do go that route to try to keep the hole from being super gaping. But still, you still don't want to take some chances. You still want to make sure it's healing as well as it can heal, and that you are giving it a fair chance on getting better before you're really going at food. So I was eating plain yogurts, plain vanilla yogurts. I was blending smoothies till there was nothing left, and what I was putting in the smoothies too was the plain yogurt, was, you know, milk, and then like bananas, for example. So I was having like banana and strawberry smoothies, and making sure those strawberries were cut up really finely before I even put them in the blender, just to give it that much more of a chance for it to get smaller and softer, so that I wasn't having to do a lot of mouth movements and chew a lot and disturb that healing process. And really, I mean, I was even talking less too. Thankfully, last time I went away to my mother-in-law's, so there was a lot of, you know, having to say hi to people, hugs, kisses, you know, chatting and things like that. You want, you know, you want to be respectful, and I love my mother-in-law, so it's not like I want to sit in a corner and ignore her. I do want to chat with her and have that relationship. And then, of course, you know, it was Easter weekend, so then I'm talking to my mom and stuff, which was funny because this weekend was Mother's Day, but I just felt like there was a bit more time to heal before having to speak to anyone for Mother's Day. And really that was a nice excuse for me, was, hey, it's Mother's Day, it's my day. I wanted to sit and soak in a bath for a bit and just read my book and, you know, enjoy some quiet time. So that was kind of a nice bonus of having it on the Mother Day weekend. I was kind of contemplating like, it's the Mother's Day, like we're not going to be able to do anything. But really it worked out because, I mean, it was just a nice quiet day with my family and, you know, an opportunity to kind of sneak away and just go and soak in a tub or something. And because that was my present for Mother's Day, was getting myself some bath bombs and bath salts and a new book. And that's what I did, is took that opportunity to take some time, be quiet with myself, and really give myself some of that self-love. So that was really nice to have that opportunity, and just having my husband be understanding and really taking care of me too. I mean, he was so sweet. He tried to, you know, make me soft foods, and he was very understanding about what I can eat, because I mean, he's had so many teeth pullings himself. He's gonna end up with a partial denture at one point for his back teeth, so he very much empathized and I can't speak right now. Apparently, you know, you get your teeth pulled, suddenly you're slurring all over the place. He very much I can't even, he sympathizes. We're gonna move on. I said it, okay? You know what I mean. He very much connects with that, because he only has his front teeth right now to chew, which is unfortunate. The poor guy. It's a whole thing with him on his teeth, but he is getting those back dentures very soon. But he understands what it's like to not be able to chew foods as well. So he really is coming from a point of understanding, and therefore is able to really, you know, take that time to take care of me. And it's so much appreciated that he does have that care and understanding for me, to make sure the foods are the right temperature and make sure they're all, like, you know, carefully prepared for me, and that they're nice and soft for me. And he's just such a sweetheart that way. So it's really helpful in that regard. But if I didn't have him, I'd still be, you know, making my own, you know, brothy soups. He made me an Irish stew, which was so sweet, but I just couldn't really chew some of the lentils and things like that in it, because they're just such little tiny pieces, and you'd think, oh, they're super easy, but they're really hard because they're so little. They're getting in everything, and you're feeling like, oh my god, they're gonna get in my little holes and get stuck. So I was just maybe even more super cautious. I just am at nature a little more cautious and things like that. So I ended up draining it and just keeping the carrots in and having the broth, the beef broth, and eating that with some bread, soaking it to make it nice and soft, because that was easy to chew when it would be nice and soft. So it was definitely that. And I did take advantage sometimes of a little ice cream here and there, because, you know, why not if your mouth is sore? Kind of numb it a bit with that cold ice cream so that it doesn't hurt as much. So I definitely took advantage of that no sugar added ice cream that I got, and really just took better care of making sure I was being careful with those extraction sites. So that is essentially where I am right now. I've got all of the teeth pulled. All the teeth that needed to be pulled are all pulled. I'm healing up pretty nicely, knock on wood. I mean, I had a little bit of a scare, I want to say the week after I got these ones pulled. It was just still really painful, and I ended up seeing what looked like a tooth. And because I had that thought in my head of, oh my gosh, he had pieces that he had to pull out, maybe he missed some, that was just a little hypochondriac thing going on in my mind. So of course, you get talking to people too, and they're like, oh yeah, that did happen to me, and I had to go back and get surgery, and da da da. So, you know, other people can just make it that much more scary for you. So I did go back to the dentist, and they took a look around. They gave me like a antibiotic rinse of the extraction sites, but they said, no, it looks like it's healing really nicely. We'll give you that just in case, because, you know, it was such a exposed site of having to dig in and get that stuff that we want to make sure it's healing for you. But other than that, it looks good. So knock on wood, I don't have to do that for this side, because I mean, it just feels loads different. I mean, it feels almost more swollen in some ways than this side, which is kind of weird, but it's not pain. There's no pain or anything like that on this side. So I'm happy about that, and I'm just taking a deep breath and just enjoying. I want to say I've got about 2 weeks and a bit to go, because it's the end of the month that I'll be getting my braces. So I've got about 2 weeks to go. So it might be about 2 weeks before I pop in again to give any progress, because I mean, really nothing much is going to be happening in those 2 weeks. I might pop in if anyone's interested on progress of my weight loss journey, and I can definitely do a different video about that. I don't want to, my last video, or the first video I did where I combined both of them, was so long, and I feel like this one's already going on long enough. I don't want to make it that much longer by having, you know, you guys sit through stuff about the weight loss. So I can definitely put up a video about that to kind of show you my progress on that and kind of talk about that. And I'll comment below if that's something you're interested in. I definitely hope that anything I say is helpful to anyone. I know there's not a whole lot out there about adults getting some of this happen. You can see tons and tons of teens having some of this happen, which God love them all. I mean, I wish I was a teen going through this, because I wish this had happened way back when, but hey, que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. Rest in peace, Doris Day. I just, you know, for adult life, it is what it is, that infamous saying. I will just chronicle it because I think, to me, I feel like there's not enough out there about adult braces and the adult journey, because one, most people aren't really having to wait till they're adult, and maybe two, it's almost a little shameful in some ways, of like, oh, I had to wait till I was an adult, like, what was me kind of thing, where I just, you know what, I'm gonna embrace it. It happened. I'm in a place I can do it now, and I hope I'm able to maybe share my experience with you guys, and you're able to learn something, you're able to enjoy, you know, the journey with me, and maybe I can even, you know, hopefully inspire someone to go after getting their teeth done, or getting something that they want done that they've put off, or some change in their life that they've wanted that they haven't been able to go after, or like just hopefully give you some hope that you keep pushing towards it and keep working towards it, that it will come to fruition for you. So that's it for me. I'm gonna sign off. Thanks so much. I appreciate you watching. Like and subscribe if you're interested in seeing the journey, and I'll see you all later.